done also. I don't know how he'll do this, but I know we can communicate. Number two, I want to ask Mr. Brown if I can give him the chance to say this, as I say in the time. Our problems come from Flint not having enough revenues. And I just hope he doesn't tax the people who are trying to live here to raise more revenue.
All right.
I want to see, he mentioned revenues, grants and so forth, but listen, everybody is entitled to a job. If you have a family, no matter how much money you make, 1/4 might go for dwelling. All of it adds up to 100%. But everybody has to contribute. If you don't contribute this percentage of money in this family, the family is not going to function. It's not going to be a family. And just like in Flint, if these people who are put in the jails, who are killed, well, they're trying to eat, whatever's going on, they're killed. They're not living. It's a status in a social status below the status of livelihood. Now, we need revenues.
That's right.
For these people to earn, everybody to earn their way. And I want to ask Mr. Brown, if I'm in order, what can we do in Flint to raise revenues where we can have decent livelihood in Flint? And is this in his report? He won't answer right now. Did I make myself clear, Mr. Brown? All right, I hope he will give us that answer. We need to think where we can teach our children, give our children a job, give our husbands and all others as we can move from one place to the other and fight all we want, but if we don't get some money, we're not going to live.
Thank you, Vera. Our next speaker is in front, Farnsworth, in front.
Good evening. Thank you to ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. Thank everybody for having us and giving us this opportunity to carry on the democratic process as it still is in effect, as evidenced tonight by those who attended. Thank you to Mr. Brown for allowing this forum to be provided to the general public. I'm president of the Firefighters Union here in the city of Flint. I've been elected approximately 75 days I've been in office. I hit the ground running, as you might understand. I've had a daunting task in front of me, all of which have tested my reason for actually taking the office, but I wanted to be in good hands. My membership deserves more than what's been handed them the past few years. Prior administrations have neglected to understand the stress that my departments under, police and fire included. The phrase public safety is a catch-all. Fire safety is a standalone. We provide fire and medical service to the citizens of the city of Flint. That's not a generic term. We do it. I've done it. I did it for 20 years now. I don't intend on stopping just because we're under some financial strife. But in that same light, I'd like to know, as Mr. Brown prefaces about delivering services, he asked that we do it and also have to do some cost cutting. I'm going to be the first president for the Firefighters Local 352 to present laying off my members. I present the layoff of my members so we can get approval for the SAFER grant, which is up for application right now. I want my members to be presented pink slips starting Monday, next Monday, with a 90-day window so we can get the SAFER grant approved. That's the only stipulation that we're following on right now. We have a stipulation that says they have to be within a layoff, pending layoff for my members. I am asking as the only president nationally to ask for his members to be laid off with a 90-day notice starting Monday. that will guarantee the funding, because we have a committee set that understands this. If my members are facing a pending layoff, they can be guaranteed the funding through the Federal Emergency Management Association nationally. Also, on that same note, we talked about revenue. I'm a little heated right now. I waited 20 minutes to get 5 minutes worth of talking, so I'm going to try to fit in what I can. We talked about revenue streams. I've brought up 5 major points of contention for the firefighters faced to the EM. One of them was a master fee schedule. Implement it and expedite its implementation of the master fee schedule. Number 2 is the ambulance fleet. We had a proud 30-year tradition at the City of Flint Fire Department of providing transport for the sick and injured of the citizens of the City of Flint. We lost our EMS codes because I could not get the legal department to return my emails and my phone calls regarding EMS millage. We couldn't even file an injunction to save $545,000 for the City of Flint, tax-based paying citizens for the City of Flint. It's gone now, citizens. We didn't even file an injunction to save it. That is a tragedy. I will tell you that. I waited 20 years to watch the permanent program go down the drain before my very eyes without any interaction by the legal department. No reaction, no emails, not a call back, not one. I have an email trail to show it, proves it. In closing, because I'm probably going to run over, this is the time to reinvent the wheel in the City of Flint. While we're at it, let's reinvent the wheel, the chassis, the engine, and the GPS that will get us where we need to go. Governor Snyder, supposedly the innovative mind that he is in Lansing right now, let's be the liaison to make it happen. I'm willing to watch it happen. I'm willing to be innovative. Get our ambulances back in the road. We can file a partnership with some private entities in this town to make sure it happens, and we will provide the best service that you've ever seen. I have 37 very enthusiastic individuals who are in peril of losing their jobs. I want them with a layoff notice starting Monday so I can have my safety grant from the federal government secured for my members. Thank you.
Thank you, Trent. Our next speaker is Jacob Yosemite.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Council. How are you guys today? I was wondering, how can you guys effectively represent us when Mike Brown can both lay you off and cut your salaries? It seems like there's a catch-22. Also, I was wondering, do you guys do any voting anymore? What is your role here? What do you guys do? Straight up. Chirp, chirp. There are crickets in here? Oh, anybody? Okay. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know where to wait.
Our next speaker is Judith Alexander.
I like how they're all just stoned. It's like, what do we do?
I have the rest of his 5 minutes
No.
too.
I'll get him later.
Okay. I know there's a lot going on in the city that you all are very, very concerned about right now. I wanted to speak about the human rights ordinance that has been kind of languishing down here at City Hall since before the emergency manager took over. This is an ordinance. I'm part of the Genesee County Healthy Sexuality Coalition. We've been working on this ordinance, which would extend equal opportunities to persons regardless of sexual identity, gender identity, or sexual orientation, along with a number of other indicators that people experience discrimination over. It won't cost us anything. I don't know why it's sat around down here and wasn't brought to the council for a period of time. We are concerned about it. It won't cost anybody anything. We were told at one point there was going to be a public hearing tonight for it, and then we were told there doesn't have to be a public hearing because all the emergency manager has to do is sign it. So I guess I'm addressing my comments to the emergency manager that we would like you to sign this ordinance. If you feel that it's not a priority for your constituents, I want to say that I personally am not of a sexual orientation that's likely to experience discrimination, but I want my community to be inclusive. I want everyone's rights to be respected. So it is important, and I hope the emergency manager will sign the ordinance. If I still have a little time left, I did want to say that I'm also very angered by the whole emergency manager process. When we read in the paper not too long after we got the emergency manager that Mike Brown had previously been a part of a committee that was studying consolidation with the County on services, I thought, boy, this has white male privilege written all over it. You know, people that know better than us. As Mr. Cleveland said, the county is not there for the city. We are one of the most segregated counties in the nation.
Amen.
We've had and we in Flint need to be here to take care of Flint ourselves. When our library was in danger of consolidating with the county, the residents of Flint came out and voted for the millage to keep the Flint Library for Flint, and that's what we need. And then when I find out tonight that the emergency manager has been meeting consistently with 3 white men on the city council and not communicating with the rest of the council, I was like, what is this? And I am angry, and I'm with Mr. Cleves. You can sign me up.
Our next speaker is Hubert Roberts. Roberts.
Honored council, give honors to the mayor's office. My name is Hubert Roberts. I'm from the 8th Ward. One concern that I'd like and hope that you guys can address, I'm here representing also several mentoring programs that I'm involved with. Some of the mentors are here. We work with children as young as 7 all the way to 18. And then myself personally, I also work with some of the individuals that the young man was speaking about, some of the thugs in our community. I work with ex-offenders, those coming home from prison, work with restoring their lives for them to be productive citizens again. My concern is we were told recently about Comcast has a structure set up in their business structure that has some money that may be possibly allocated for some community projects. It's called PEG funds. I think it's 2% that was designated to go towards schools or community programming. So I like, and hopefully that the council could maybe speak on that. We'd like to know, has the money been allocated, or is the money going to be allocated for some after-school programming or anything that deals with schooling? One thing that I'm dealing with, a lot of the individuals that are coming home from prison, we're finding they can't get into GED because they can't read. So one thing that we're working on, we don't have any money, but one thing that we're concerned about is starting a literacy site. A lot of the people that I deal with are illiterate. And even to get into a GED class, you have to read at a certain level. So I was just hoping that the council board maybe be able to address the funds that's coming from Comcast. 2%, I believe, is designated towards community-based school programs or after-school programs or something to this degree. Anybody want to?
Yes, thank you for your leadership as well. The program you're talking about is PAID, it's Public Education Government Channels. This will be with the subscribers pay. If anybody has Comcast at home, if you look at your Comcast bill, you're looking for maybe to see what they call a local fee. We've been having this dialogue sometime here in the council, trying to make sure that all entities that has to subscribe to Comcast or any other broadcast entities, things like AT&T or Uverse, make sure those revenues that come in from the subscribers go to programs, much like media centers. So it cannot be delegated to other literacy programs or anything programs like that. The partnerships can be created with school districts and school systems to attract young people